So this spring we had to determine that we had to build something to protect our plug trays with our new seedlings inside the plug trays through the winter months. What we've been doing in the past is putting the plug trays or keeping the plug trays in the greenhouse, and it's unheated, and the temperature fluctuates so much, especially in February and March, that it'll have a 50-degree temperature swing, and the plugs just cannot survive that. Their roots are not developed enough to survive that kind of temperature swing. So we had to come up with a system to protect these things. So the only thing I could come up with that wouldn't break the bank would be a little shed that we could put some heavy-duty shelving in, or use our greenhouse table shelving in there temporarily to protect the trays and stack as many plug trays in there as we could. So that's what we did. We started with the foundation. We got some treated lumber that we repurposed from our Christmas tree stands. Believe it or not, we had some 10 by 10 squares, and we put pins on them. But the wood we used was treated lumber, so it was a 2 by 8. So it was perfect for a subfloor for a shed. Possibly we'll move this shed in a different position after the other greenhouse is made, but right now it's a nice little spot, and we can get electric to it easy enough. So after the floor was in, the joists were made, we leveled it. We put a piece of vapor barrier down, some crushed stone, and then leveled it so we wouldn't have problems with opening the door and getting the walls up and stuff like that. But we bought some rigid insulation to insulate this little shed. So we cut strips to fit in between the floor joists, really tight, and then any gaps we filled with some spray foam. So we'll get a nice insulated floor. So then we put the treated 3/4 inch 4 by 8 sheets of plywood on the floor, and so then all of a sudden we have a nice deck to start building the walls on. Good, nice little foundation. So like I said, we're possibly move this, so I didn't want to make a foundation we could not move the shed, so it's just basically sitting on some blocks on some vapor barrier and crushed stone. So the first wall we started to construct was the back wall, the long back wall. That's the longest continuous wall. So we framed it up on the deck, and then before we lifted it up, we decided to put the siding on it, which is just 4 by 8 sheets of plywood, and we'll paint in the summertime, but just plywood. So we nailed it down and then lifted it up as a unit, which turned out to be a little heavier than one person can deal with. So we had to involve some tractor with some forks on it to get it started, and then we can lift it up and prop it up with some bracing for overnight. So the first day we got the foundation down, or the floor down, the foundation, the floor, and the back wall. So we were pretty psyched about that. The next day we got into some snow, actually, so that kind of put us a little behind, but we scraped off the deck and let it melt the rest of the day, and then the day after that we continued with the build. It's pretty straightforward. There's only one door, there's no windows in this, so the framing went up pretty fast, and we're cutting off most of the circulation, except for east to west circulation, just to keep the condensation on the inside down to a minimum, and some little airflow, keep it cool between the rigid foam insulation that lined the whole entire building inside and in between the floor joists underneath the 4 by 8 treated flooring. So once we did the sides, we put the 2 sides up, and then we did the front. We framed out the door. My first choice wouldn't have been a door with a window, but it was a curb alert, so we found that along the way and just grabbed it a couple of years ago. Knew we'd use it somewhere, but this is what we have. So after all the framing was up, we put the sheathing. Well, not the sheathing, but it's going to be the siding after we paint it, I guess technically. We didn't attach it before we raised the walls. It was just too much. I was doing most of this by myself. And then here we put the tin. We use tin roof just because it goes up a little faster. And we've had most of this from a previous project. For our sawmill, we had some of this laying around, so I just grabbed a couple extra pieces when I ordered the foam insulation. For some reason, the box store had 2-inch thick foam insulation cheaper than the 1-inch thick. So, not sure if that was labeled wrong or they were just discontinuing the item. That's a great way to get a good deal, is when they discontinue an item, there's nothing wrong with it. There's just going to a different vendor or something like that. So anyways, this picture shows the tin roof on, and we sealed up the gap in the front there, but you can see between the tin underneath the purlins that there is an air gap because we attached the foam insulation for the ceiling right directly to the joist on the bottom, so there is an air gap in there, and then the rest of it we sealed it up, used the sealing up tape, aluminum tape, and made it airtight. And the reason we didn't use treated 2x4s, one, they're 3 times the price, and 2, the foam insulation creates waterproof seal. Well, hopefully it's waterproof between the plants and the untreated 2x4s. So after we got it all, the siding all put up, it was pretty much buttoned up. Then we had to build some makeshift shelving units in there. We just used our greenhouse tables. We just took them off the legs and just used the tops and stacked in there. So at the end of the day, we were able to get about 7,000 plugs, 7,000 seedlings in here, and all these seedlings were started from seed in these plug trays, and then they go on to different variations. Some of these plugs will go into a 1-gallon pot. Some of these plugs will put into a seedling bed, which is just rows of sand and other maybe some perlite just to keep it a little more airflow, or a little bit better drainage than the sand we have around here. So, or we ship them out through the internet. Once they get big enough in the seed beds, they either go into the ground themselves, or we do have some 5-gallon container trees that we sell at Christmas time. We do both cut trees here, and we do a bunch of different things. We do cut trees, we sell seedlings in the plug trays, or just straight out of the transplant bed, or we have a company that comes in and digs the bigger ones for landscape trees right now until they're gone, so we can regain those acres. This is an older farm that there's some of the trees that got away from us, but the bigger trees that we have left are more Norway spruce, and we use some of the Colorado spruce for cut Christmas trees, just because some people like the blue color. But we're going to propagate a bunch of different varieties of different kinds of fir trees this year, just to try to get that blue color. Colorado blue spruce are tough. We're going to continue to grow those, but they get a needle cast to them, and they're very high maintenance. So we're trying to get away from the Colorados, but people still love them. So we're pretty much a full service tree farm here, and there's some varieties that we cannot grow here. There's a concolor fir that just our soil isn't very good for growing. We can propagate the concolors, so what we do is we propagate the concolors and actually trade the seedlings to another local farm for their concolors, and then they take our seedlings, plant them, and then continue the cycle. So this So what we'll do going forward is we'll probably germinate around 20,000 seeds each year, and we'll make videos on that when we start doing that in a few weeks. We have a couple different needle machines that literally pick up the seed and drop them in these plug trays, and it's pretty neat little machines, and we can do a few thousand in about 10-15 minutes. So it's a pretty smooth operation. Our thing is we're running out of greenhouse space, so we're going to start putting more in seedling beds to overwinter instead of the plug house that we built. But we're going to try to push our seedlings to get a couple years growth in 1 year with some lights and some different things, and we'll go over that in future videos too in depth. I just wanted to give you a roundabout way of how we built this plug house and why we built this plug house. It's kind of a stopgap between us getting the correct root growth out of a 1 year seedling and then going into the winter. We shouldn't have to do this, but it's going to be some trial and error because we're the only tree farm in the Northeast, I think, trying it this way. So stay tuned. Thanks for stopping by again, and click the like and subscribe, and send me a message if you want to see some things, a little less of some other things. But this is what we got going on. Just stay safe. Thanks for stopping by.